Welcome everyone to another episode of Nuts and Bolts. And I'm sitting here just thinking as we're trying to start this episode, how many different introductions and how many different ways can I do things? Like I'm sitting there going, I'm pretty sure I've done it this way before, but who cares? Let's do it. Intros are hard, people.
Look, I think that people won't mind a bit of variety in their day.
That's it. And whether I go, hey, welcome, or ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of Nuts and Bolts, live on Game on Oz.
Oh, I feel like if we're doing it that way, we need like a highball glass of whiskey and...
Ooh,
Oh, you got a little mini goblet?
Yeah, no, I feel fancy when I drink out of that. So actually, I do like drinking out of it because, rather than just mixing in a can or something, you put the ice in and the spirit in the mixer, and it's I don't know, it always tastes better when it's over ice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just the ritual of the effort,
Yeah, that too. But I think like having it like really cold as well, because I always like really cold drinks, and yeah, so that's why I think I like that a little bit better. But we got a little bit to talk about here, and we're going to kick it off with talking about the PCS. So for those that haven't been paying attention, LCO was on hold for a little bit. We've got our two grand finalists in Team Bliss and Chiefs, but because of timing of events, both of them have had to now go to PCS and play off in that to try and qualify for MSI. I'm going to be frank, it hasn't gone well.
That is the politest way you could say that.
Yeah, it really hasn't. Admittedly, I only got to watch a bit of one of Bliss's games against, I think it was Deep Cross Gaming, and they were trying. You could see stuff that they were trying to do, but it wasn't working. And Deep Cross Gaming just kind of had their number pretty early on, and it snowballed from there. So let's take it back to the first game that both Chiefs and Bliss played, because that Deep Cross Gaming versus Bliss was the second round. To start with, Impunity faced off against Bliss. Bliss lost 3-0. Chiefs took on CFO. They lost 3-0. Then both our teams went to the lower bracket because they got a second chance. Chiefs went down 3-1 against Beyond Gaming, and Team Bliss went down 3-0 against Deep Cross Gaming. So not what we hope to see.
No. But we also just didn't know how our teams were going to really go in the PCS, and so yeah, only up from here, maybe.
Yeah, and that's like, I know there was a bit of speculation after the LCO Grand Finalists were decided. We had our final two, and because Pentanet have been playing out of Perth, they've got a house here in Perth, and been scrimming against Southeast Asian teams, and there was a bit of debate really about if that had worked for them, and because they didn't even get the PCS to actually try that out.
No, yeah.
Yeah, but I can't help but wonder if maybe that is kind of the way, because the only way you get better is by playing against teams that are better than you. And if we're playing in the same OCE pool, then the best you could possibly do, well, as it stands at the moment, is to beat Team Bliss or Chiefs. And it's... you need to get experience outside of that, and I think Pentanet's idea is right. They just probably need to work on a little bit better execution in how they do it. So I don't know. I kind of hope more teams will pay attention to that, especially with such a poor showing at PCS. I think that something needs to be done to the better players. We need to verse better players, because I want to see these teams succeed. I don't want to see we just import a crap ton of PCS players and let them take us to MSI or Worlds. But I would like to see our players get better.
Yeah, I mean, it's still that difficult situation where a lot of our best players are getting
Overseas,
imported
yeah.
to other teams and going to other regions that can pay them a bit more of a living wage.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certainly not a quick and easy answer. Otherwise, it would have been solved already.
No, that's it, and it's an issue with esports in OCE in that we don't have a strong enough scene to support players that want to be paid for what they do. So you have to make a gamble and go overseas, and you see that in the Direwolves lineup where you've got Chaz and Decoy, who after Pentinet's run at MSI where they got out of groups, which was the first time any OCE team had gotten out of groups at an international event. Both of them went overseas to play. Hasn't worked out for them. They come back. Even Pabu, who's still in Germany, trying to make a trade, play his trade there, it's still not going so well for him. I saw him tweet the other day that he's a free agent for Split 2. So he's
Oh wow.
it's not going well. Like he's still there, still trying to make it work, and he did recently get married over there. So there's
congratulations to him.
well, I say recently, I think it was a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
but
still.
But congratulations. Yeah. So I think he's settling down in Germany, and I don't think he would think about coming back here. So, but yeah, it kind of seems like, I don't know if there was this upswell after the OPL closed and we had the LCO, because since then, that first split we had in the LCO where Pentanet went over and did really well in MSI, we haven't had a team that has done that. Like even Chiefs last year, when they only dropped one game in a split, you think that they'd at least pick up a game or two, and they didn't win anything. And and then to come away from PSC or PCS, sorry, PCS, Pacific Championship.
Yeah, PCS. Yeah.
I don't know why I keep going PSC. No, I do, because there was an old work tool we used to have called PSC, and it's just sticking in my head. But
SPC?
No, PSC, Products and Services Catalog.
No. But, beans and spaghetti.
Hungry little human beings. But yeah, and I'd like to go to PCS and have these two teams that played really well and showed so much promise in the LCO, and to only come away with one game between them. That's it does show that we need more time, I think, and more development. And it hurts me to say this, but it does show that Riot was correct in making us qualify through here.
Yeah. Look, I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Like, if we're not good enough to compete with teams in the PCS to even get one, through a round, then how can we justify sending a direct entry team? But it's part of a growth strategy, which Riot have made really clear that they don't care about our region and our growth strategy. That direct entry place was just another thing that was taken away that limits our potential. And I totally get what you're saying. Like, we don't have the skill, we don't deserve it, but chicken or egg kind of, this whole thing with Riot is chicken or the egg. Like, you can't just I'm going to stop talking now. I can't articulate my thoughts.
I also get what you're saying. To get a strong league, you need the backing, but to get the backing, you need a strong league, and you just have to start off with some really dedicated people to help push it up and get it to a spot where you can perform, and then it's always the way when you're effectively starting again in a region. You've got to build it up to start with, and let's remember, this is what, the third year of LCO. So and having ESL and Guinevere Capital involved in funding the league. So look, there's going to be hiccups and it's going to take a while, but I think eventually we will see some success overseas, but it will take, I think, doing what Pentinet's doing and scrimming against those teams that are better than us in Southeast Asia.
Yeah. I continue to foster talent, and hopefully we can make a better showing of it for the next split.
Yep, that's it. And because I think next split in the PCS, there's two spots to worlds up for grabs, so double chances, maybe.
All right, let's go.
But of course, while it is unfortunate that Chiefs and Bliss have gone out the back door there, what it does mean for us though is that we will see an LCO Grand Final at Dreamhack come the end of April,
which will be very exciting for the lucky Dreamhack goers.
Oh yes, us included. Excited, very excited about that. But of course, that's also not the only match that will be happening that day. There is an LCO All Stars match, and so votes have opened on that to pick the team that will because I think it's there's the LCO All Stars versus I think some international people. I can't quite remember. But yeah, that will be happening there. So you can go and vote on the LCO Twitter page. They've got a link there. You can vote for who you want to represent LCO in this All-Star match. Of course, with the grand final being played on that day, Team Bliss and Chiefs players won't be available. Yeah. I can't imagine doing back-to-back games like that. I'm trying to picture it. Like, I don't know what would be worse, whether it would be having to play the All-Star game beforehand and not be focused and then play a grand final, or to play a grand final, lose, and then have to play an All-Star match.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a difficult situation to be in either way.
Yeah, so I think, let's just avoid that altogether. So
yeah.
That'll be the easier way to do it. But still very excited about Dreamhack. So much going on, from like Artist Alley and the cosplay competitions and the BYO computer stuff. It's just going to be fantastic. Can't wait to see it. And of course, there is also the CSGO stuff that will be happening there with ESL Challenger at Dreamhack Melbourne. We've got the couple of OCE teams and international teams in there as well. We were talking last week about complexity and how this will just add to the amount of hours that they'll be flying around everywhere. But I reckon it'll be great, and seeing Greyhound Gaming and Vertex in there as well. I can't wait to see our local teams compete against these international players. Ooh, sorry, excuse me, hiccups. But also at the moment going on with CSGO is the stage 1 for ANZ Champs. So I had to think, because there's like ANZ, there's like Challenger and ANZ Champs, and I will admit up front, I know next to nothing about CSGO. So we're just going to put that out there. But ANZ Champs are going on. The winner of this goes to the ESL Pro Season 18. And gets a handy $7,000 AUD in prize money, so that'll be pretty cool. And the way it stands at the moment, the first round games for the upper bracket have happened. So Greyhound Gaming beat Strill's Angels 2-0. Big Dogs beat Encore 2-0. Eliminators, that's a cool name. I like that. Eliminators. Not Eliminators, Eliminators.
Eliminator.
Yeah. Beat Brewster 2-1. And Vertex beat Sunday School 2-1. Took them to school, though. I'd be hazarding a guess there. So those winners there have won through to the second round. Meanwhile, Strills' Angels and Encore, Brewster, and Sunday School head to the lower bracket to see how they go there. Because ANZ Champs is, of course, double elimination. So you get 2 chances, I think, in each stage. Just let me double check that. Yeah, so it's a double elimination bracket, which means that if you get through the top bracket undefeated, whoever versus you in the grand final has to beat you twice.
Yeah.
So the winner... The top 2 from stage 1 will go through to playoffs, so they'll skip stage 2 altogether, and then the other 6 teams will go through to stage 2, where the top 2 from stage 2 will advance to playoffs there as well. So that's going to be fun. That is happening over the next couple of months. it just started recently. I'm guessing I think they have a bit of a break between each stage in the playoffs, so it'll happen for a little bit. I'm just having a look at the information here. Started yesterday, day before. Started on Monday. So that's really cool to see, and finishes in. Oh my God, head not translating numbers to months. June is when it ends. So, which is interesting because we'll have ESL challenges in between now and when this finishes. So that's that'll be fun. Cannot wait to see that all at not the ANZ Champs, but seeing challenges, ESL challenges, and the LCO Grand Final at Dreamhack. I think tickets are still available. If you can get amongst it, go have a look. It'll be all really cool.
Yes.
But I don't know how much longer we'll be playing CSGO for, because Counter-Strike 2 has officially been announced and keys have been going out to people, which I don't know. It sounds like an exciting time for Counter-Strike esports.
Yeah, it really does. Like I was saying to Strad, I couldn't remember if we touched on this a couple of weeks ago, but just the idea that they can start fresh with their code, be able to go back and fix a lot of issues that they've been having. There's lots of discussions about, just how the smoke works with the smoke grenades, because they can actually actively work on that a bit more easily now that the code behind it all is working a bit better for them.
I've been seeing lots of clips come up on Twitter of just how the Molotov spread, and people talking about how much better that is. Yeah. So I'm really excited for the players. I think this is going to be a really big boon for them, and hopefully it will invigorate the game and the players and the scene as well. I'm still surprised. Like, CSGO's been around for forever. Like I think it's like longer standing than LOL. I wouldn't be surprised. I can remember playing, Counter-Strike at least, probably back when it was a Half-Life mod. And just and back at LAN cafes, probably before I could even drive. And so that's a long time ago. I'm not going to say exactly how long and age myself, but it's definitely a long time. But yeah, and to see it get a new breath of life in this, and I'm sure that people will be frothing at the mouth to get into it. In fact, you can see that with how many keys have gone out already, and everybody wanting to get in and get keys to be able to play this.
I did see the other day Shroud getting into it and having a bit of fun with it. So yeah, it's definitely got interest there, which is cool.
One interesting thing that's been coming up in a couple of discussions, where because it all runs on Valve's anti-cheat system, if you've got a ban in CSGO, that carries over into Counter-Strike 2. So even if you get a key for Counter-Strike 2, you won't be able to play it because you'll still be banned. Which I think it's a good thing.
Fantastic. Yeah. Honestly, like, it's one of the biggest problems with the fact that, like, with esports, they're all different games and managed by different people. Because if, at the Olympics you get caught taking, steroids or something, then you're out. You can't compete in anything. So it's kind of nice having that carryover in the same ecosystem.
It is. It's funny to the point where something, I can't remember who it was, but something flashed up on my Twitter feed the other day, where someone that has had a very lengthy ban from playing the game, like used to stream it, but got a very lengthy ban, got given a key, and you're sitting there going, cool. Well, the bot that's running that wasn't taking bans into account, then, was it?
Oh, it's some poor little marketing intern that's getting paid like $2 an hour.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh, poor little marketing intern. But yeah, very excited to see Counter-Strike 2 getting up, and I wonder if we'll see. I wonder how that integrate with the esports league. Whether they'll start up a new esports league and phase out the current CSGO leagues, or if they'll just say, cool, well, maybe it'll be like a patch move. So they'll go, right, well, this season of what is it, the ESL Pro League will now be on CS2, so everybody will have to migrate over there.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see because they said it's coming summer 2023 as for the official release date,
probably summer
US.
Northern Hemisphere time. So
Yeah.
that's months away, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, but not that far away. Like here was me thinking they'd do it over the US winter just because that tends to be when all the esports leagues are taking a break, whether a lot of them are running over that period. So as far as keeping up all the infrastructure, you wonder if they're going to keep CSGO going, even just for casual players, how it's going to work. I'm not sure.
I think that they would, because there has been that much money spent in CSGO that there would be a huge outcry if they just went, cool, well, we're turning this off now. Everybody start playing Counter-Strike 2, please.
Yeah. Move on.
Yeah, at the very least, if they're going to do that, there would have to be like a migration path for people to take their skins and everything from CSGO into CS2. But yeah, that'll be coming up, I think, and yeah, I think in the short term at least, and by short term I mean the next year or two, they'll be running both. And it might take a little while for a Counter-Strike 2 esports league to get off the ground anyway, as they release the game and let people play it and just see how it goes. Because
that sounds really reasonable to me, that they'll spend the rest of this year just getting people into it, playing it, make sure it's competitively balanced as well, and then maybe next year's potentially all Counter-Strike 2.
Cool. But more exciting stuff happening. I'm very excited about this because the ANZPL for World of Tanks is back this Friday night. Get amongst it. So happy to see this league back, this homegrown OCE league here being run by Wargaming. It's incredible. And I can't wait to see it back. So we did talk a little bit, myself and Mercury, when Mercury was co-hosting the show with me there. We talked a little bit about the draft, and it is interesting to see, like, there is a couple of things going on, like Speed returning to the Sentinels. What are they now? 4-time champion, 5-time? I don't know. They've won it a lot of times. There's only been one time they haven't won it. We'll go with that. But seeing a couple of players that took a bit of a break. Ravi, who's ex-Brisbane Bulldogs, has returned to Action X, as well as ex-Panthers player Lightning Man. And they've also picked up Rowendi from the trade with Sentinels there, so that's really cool to see. I'm actually really excited to see the Matildas this season, because they've picked up, I'm going to say at least 3 players from the Bundaberg Badgers in the B League there, and under the leadership of Bolognese and Whippet. I think this is going to be a very, very interesting team and a team to watch.
Sorry, I just still absolutely love when we talk all the gamer handles.
You know what I really
especially
love?
in World of Tanks.
Matildas now have a player called Bolognese and one called Ravioli al dente.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, that is so good. Like, I want to go for dinner at their house right now and just see what's on. The Panthers, Goober has stepped back and they picked up Critikill. I'm trying to remember where Critikill came from. I think he came from the Matildas, but he was always kind of a little dark horse. Did seem to get a lot of damage out. So seeing him in the Panthers lineup is going to be pretty cool, I think. They do have a pretty solid lineup, but they aren't afraid to swap players in and out if they need a pinch hitter for certain things. So that'll be interesting. So Sentinels, they traded Rowendi for Speed, and Doodle Tank is not in their lineup anymore, but they picked up Safi, which is a B League player who's done really well. So that's going to be very interesting to see how he does in there. Actually, I think I'm trying to remember, he may have played for a PL team before, but I can't remember. Scorpions, ever consistent, no changes to their lineup. JT there with a roster that he likes, so they're going to keep going the way they're going. And the new team for this split, unfortunately the Cairns Comets have disbanded, not sure of the reasons there, but the Wollongong Wolverines have stepped in there they've picked up. I think AVP. He is a former Premier League player, but he's been playing in the B League for a bit. And Saxon, who's been with the Matildas, like he was their captain when they won their championship. They also played for the Action X, but also with a heap of other B League players. So I'm very excited to see how they go. So those games are kicking off on Friday night, the 31st of March, over on twitch.tv/World of Tanks ANZ. So for this week, it will be at 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And then my understanding is, because Perth doesn't have daylight savings ends this weekend. So then it'll go back to 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time, which will be nice because it means that it starts an hour later for me, which means I don't have to rush home from work to try and watch it. But very excited to see these teams battle off again. And, of course, we've got our broadcast team, Cthulhu and Elfish Guy, returning. And this year they'll be joined by Blue Panda, which I think is going to be really cool. I do Blue Panda and Cthulhu just work so well together, and it's going to be very exciting to see there.
Yeah, no, fantastic crew on the mic. And what I love about them is, they don't mind having a bit of fun, but they all know their stuff. So it makes it entertaining to watch. Yeah,
very much so. And if you think you know your stuff as well, the Fantasy League is continuing this season as well. So for the ANZPL,
even if you don't know your stuff like me.
But see, at least with the ANZPL Fantasy League, things are pretty stable. So you can kind of work out by the star system and how many games players have played, and you can make a reasonable estimate. B League is a bit more fluid, shall we say, in player performance, so that can be a little bit interesting in how that goes. Because I remember when I did my B League fantasy team last season, first week I got like the best score, and then I think it was all downhill from there. Like I don't think I even ended up in the top 10 after that. But if you do want to get into the Fantasy League for the ANZ Premier League there, first place gets 10,000 in-game gold and a HyperX microphone. Second place also gets 5,000 in-game gold and a HyperX microphone as well. And then there's some in-game gold for third place, and 500 gold for topping the weekly leaderboard as well. So that's
cool.
Going to be pretty cool.
Oh, I just love that HyperX are back on board.
Yeah, they've been a long-term partner of the ANZPL, and glad to see them back. Like I'm wearing, I think it's like I have to check. Hang on. Yes, one of the HyperX Season 2 branded headsets. You can see the ANZPL logo on there. It's very good. I've been using this for a long time now and wouldn't change it for anything there. So the match is coming up this week. Just remember as well, it's gone to a single round robin, then into playoffs. So all these teams will just get a chance to play each other once before heading into playoffs. But there has been some changes to playoffs, which we'll talk about in a minute. But this Friday's matches, we've got the Scorpions taking on the Matildas. We'll see how those new B League players will fare against one of the most consistent lineups in ANZPL right there. I think they've only had, like, in the history of the ANZPL, I think they've only changed like 3 or 4 players. They've had a very consistent lineup. And then Champion Sentinels will take on the Wolverines there. And Action X will take on the Panthers. And what I think is going to be a very, very interesting game. I think Adelaide Action X have picked up some strong players through trades and through drafting. And I think that one's actually going to be the match of the week. I think the Panthers have got a very strong lineup as well. And who did they pick up again? Picking up Critical is only bolstering their ranks. So I think that's going to be a very, very interesting game and may even go to a tiebreaker. So I'll be very excited to see that. So just on the playoffs. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the graphic again to remind myself. So rather than a 4-team playoff, this season is going to have a 5-team playoff. So whoever finishes first gets to go to the second round of matches. So they don't play in the first round. Second place, third. Fourth place, fifth. Whoever loses out of fourth and fifth, out the back door. And the winner will play the loser from the upper bracket. The winner from the upper bracket will go on to play whoever finished first. And the winner from that upper bracket final will go into the grand final. So it's a pretty standard sort of five team format for the playoffs. But it does mean that there's a little bit extra chance for a team that maybe didn't do so well in the season and just misses out on a fourth place to maybe come in and sweep a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and I like that. Just because we mentioned there's only the one round, a lot of them are still in the finals, so you get to see them have more games.
That's it, and I think it's I think going to 5-team grand final is a fair way of 5-team playoffs is a fair way of doing it, because, like I say, you only get the one round robin to make an impact, and if you have a bad game against a team or two. Let's just say one bad game that could potentially put you in the bottom two into the old system and not get a game in the playoffs. Whereas this one now, you pretty much have to be consistently bad to not get into the playoffs. So I think this is a little bit fairer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and especially with the system, I'm not sure if you know if they're still running the relegation.
They didn't last season, but they had a few changes. Like I said, the Wolverines came up. Even because I'm trying to remember. I think it was the Badgers. Yeah, because it was the Badgers versus the Firefly, and the Fireflies in the grand final for the B League, and the Badgers won. So while most of those players have come up into the B League, there's a fair chunk of them that have. It's the Wolverines as a team that have come up. So we'll see how they go there. It will be very hard for them. Although that said, we thought that it was going to be very hard for the Comets, and they ended up playing playoffs last season. So,
oh, there you go.
Yep. And of course, at the end of the season, when we come to the grand final, we are going to have Split 1 of 2023 ANZPL live at Fortress Sydney. So I think I just saw that is literally just open now. But if you've seen the fly through of the esports area, it looks really cool. So it's very similar to Fortress Melbourne, except they've got a spot up the top where they kind of put in. I'm going to liken them to corporate boxes. I don't know if they're going to sell them that way, but they're just sort of more chill areas rather than stadium seating where you can, have a bit more room and a bit more space to sit down and watch the games and stuff like that. So that looks really, really cool. Cannot wait to see that all going on there. And it's giving me an excuse to go to Sydney for the first time in ages. So
yes. This is what we need.
Yeah.
More excuses for travel.
Oh yeah, because my bank account between Dreamhack, PAX, and at least one ANZPL Grand Final somewhere in there. 3 trips over east, and for those that are paying attention, I'm a big Zelda fan, and they've just announced a Legend of Zelda Switch OLED model, so I have to buy that. So my wallet this year is decidedly not liking me at all.
That's all right. You can go back to the 2-minute noodle diet for a little while.
That's it, yeah. Something that I think players will actually like is the map pool this season. So only one change in that the Siegfried line is leaving the map pool, but Ruinberg is coming back. So Ruinberg was in the first 2 seasons, I believe, and then they took it out. But to see it coming back, I'm very excited about that. Siegfried line, it did feel a little bit small as far as a map went, and there was only a few sort of strategies that seemed to come out from that. So I'm not really fussed about seeing Siegfried line go, but I will be interested to see Ruinberg, especially with some of these newer players that are coming in that have possibly never played it in a 5v5 format. So that's going to be very, very exciting. Cannot wait to see what's going on there. And of course, we can't be letting the A-League have all the fun, because the B-League starts on Monday night as well, 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. And we see teams returning in the Hellcats, Centurions, Archers, Leopards and Badgers. Unfortunately, Firefly's not returning, but we do see the return of the Brisbane Bulldogs. So they'll be back in the league, having a shot at the B-League Championship right there. So very exciting. Don't forget, Monday, 3rd of April, that kicks off. But this Friday for the ANZPL, live on twitch.tv/World of Tanks ANZ. Oh, I felt like I did a lot of talking there.
You did, but there's a lot to talk about.
But I'm very excited about it. Like it's such a good league. Like we've had chats before about like accessibility into esports, and particularly around games like League of Legends and Dota 2 having such a huge barrier to entry, even just to watch. And it's more games like Rocket League that are going to draw new viewers in. World of Tanks, to me, is one of those games because at its core, it's simple, but there are bits like that certain tanks are weak in certain spots and different rounds do things, and the maps make it so that you have different strategies for the map. So I think that while it's simple to watch, it's very complex to play, and I think that's probably I'm going to call it a gateway esport where you can start learning stuff, and as you're watching, you're picking up the intricacies before and then learning those as well. So I think it's a very good middle ground, and I love seeing this 5v5 format. It's just so cool.
Yeah, awesome.
But let's move on to the next story that we got here, because we're going to have a bit of a chat about Disguised Toast and his Valorant Game Changers team. So you were directing me towards this one, Natty, and it's an interesting story.
Yeah, so for anybody who's involved with the Valorant scene, you would have heard that Disguised Toast had been setting up a team, and the league is kicking off very soon for Valorant Game Changers. And he announced his team earlier in the week, and there were a lot of critics that came out about the team because he's picked a lot of high-profile streamers rather than necessarily the best available players, which has brought out, again, another round of discussions because Disguised Toast obviously has joined the league, and that's going to bring a lot of eyeballs to the games that are happening. But is it sacrificing the league integrity a little bit? You know, are they not having the best opportunities for the best players because of that? So it's all just kind of that interesting discussion about influencers being in the esports space and not necessarily whether that leads to more quality in esports or whether it's just more eyeballs that everybody's after.
And look, there is value in more eyeballs, because the more eyeballs you get on a sport or an esport, the more money you can get from sponsorships, which helps grows the league and helps those professional players in what they need to do and get paid. But I do like that Disguised Toast has been upfront about this. So when he's announced the roster, he's gotten the feedback there, and he's come out and said, cool, well, look, the reason we've done this is that I've had a month to put this together, and I don't think I could have done justice trying to get like proper esports pros in. So I get the feeling that for the short term, the current plan at the moment is the short term is that we're going to fill it with these streamers. They're probably on a short-term contract to be on this team. Not that esports seems to do anything else than short-term contracts, but that's another issue. But that said, if this team does well, he might keep them together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. He had a massive Twitter thread that was going through in detail all of his, expectations and understanding and defending his position. So yeah, you definitely touched on some points there. But he was also saying some people are being critical because they're streamers, and he's saying don't discount them because they're streamers. Like he feels like a lot of people might not be aware just how good these players are because they only know of their name from streaming. So he's defending them as well, and he's also defending his kind of position as well, to saying we need to make more space for smaller teams, not just like these big franchise teams, 100 Thieves and Team Liquid and all that kind of stuff coming into these spaces. If we need to welcome people changing things up and doing some different things, because that might be what it takes for this league to be successful.
Exactly. And look, it's I think game changers in particular as well is something that does need some more eyeballs on it, because for those that aren't aware, game changers is for marginalized genders. So it's looking more at players that aren't traditionally represented in the big league sort of stuff. So I think there is a lot of value in getting more eyeballs on this, and if this is the way it happens, like I'm all for it. You bring in. I think I saw something there that said between the creators that have come on this team in Disguised Toast, there's something like over 2 million followers. And granted, like 1.6 million came from Disguised Toast himself, but it's still like 2 million extra eyeballs that you're going to be reaching, because you can go, cool, no worries. Well, let's start promoting on each of our individual social media accounts and stuff like that. And it's interesting seeing some stuff like this come up, because when we've spoken to people like Jack Scarrett from GGWP before, she always talks about personal branding, and it's very important, I think, is in the esports space, to be able to say as a player, here's what I can bring to your team outside of just playing the game. And yeah, that should be enough, but it's not. And you see it in stuff, traditional sports as well. The players that have personality and bring people with them because people love that player get paid a lot more, because they bring a lot more to the team than just being able to play well on the field or in the game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't know how I feel both sides of this, because for anybody who's a pro wrestling fan, Jake Paul has been, doing some stuff in the pro wrestling space. So he's come in as an influencer, and he's doing a really good job at being a pro wrestler. But there's a lot of criticism because he's just been brought in more eyeballs, sell more tickets, all that kind of stuff.
I'm curious just on that, like, how do people feel about like The Rock coming back, who's left WWE and had this successful movie career, and then they bring him back, because that is most obviously a stunt to get more eyeballs on it. But is that okay because he was a wrestler?
Yeah, they had their roots in wrestling first, so you're not going to upset anybody, because I was a legit wrestler first. It's same as John Cena, because he's had some time away as well and is coming back, and involved in a major feud for WrestleMania. The same criticism just isn't there.
How about like this is slightly different, but like Ronda Rousey, when she was coming into.
Ronda's still around. Like the difference between somebody like The Rock coming back, where he was a career wrestler first, go away, come back, is a completely different thing to Ronda, because she just came in for a few high spots and then like at WrestleMania and that kind of thing, and has now pretty much been on the roster, not full time, but there for nearly every week on the weekly show. She's wrestling. Where Jake Paul isn't, he's there for the lead up weeks to a major event, but not there every week, or he's there via live feed or whatever. Excuse me, diverting this entire discussion.
No, that's all right. I think it's interesting, because it's still a good comparison to what's happening with Disguised Toast team, where but once again, it's probably. Like I don't know a lot about what Jake Paul does outside of like what he does on his stream, because actually no, he's the boxer, isn't he? It's Logan Paul that's the streamer.
You've got the two brothers that have both gone into different athletic fields and reaching the pinnacles of both, coming out of having an influencing career. It's
and cool. I mean, at least like Logan Paul might be a bit similar to Ronda Rousey in the fact that they have their background, like Logan Paul in boxing and Ronda Rousey in UFC, an MMA stuff before coming into wrestling, but the way they're doing it sounds like is fairly different, where Ronda is there every week and Logan Paul's not. But with this Disguised Toast team, I don't know. I at least these people still play the game. Yeah,
they're all active competitive players. So you can't just be like, oh, he's pulled in. I don't know. Doom Cutie is one of our staff. She is amazing, and she's huge in the influencer space in Australia. You know, it'd be like pulling in Doomy, who never plays Valorant. That I would see absolute clear criticism from that perspective.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say never. I'm pretty sure she has played a bit, but you know what I mean. It's not her main game. So it's just. Yeah, I think it's interesting that the fight between eyeballs, legitimacy, but also, you know, Disguised Toast used to be a pro esports player himself. He's, you know, got a lot of background in this, you know, for the last 8 years with offline TV. He's, you know, been building brands and people and all that kind of stuff. I think he's got a lot of skill that he could lend to the space and maybe try and elevate the whole league. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah. Very much looking forward to that one. We're getting towards the end of the show, but there is one thing that I want to have a bit of a chat about. It came up in the Game on Oz Discord, which you can join at discord.gameonoz.com if you're keen to have some nice gaming chats in there. But we were talking about what makes devices, gaming devices, and also esports devices. So we're talking about like keyboards, mice, chairs, and stuff like that. And it kind of made me think that most gaming stuff is only gaming because somebody decided to call it that. Like I know Menfonso in our Discord there and former staffer here at Game on Oz swore by like proper office chairs rather than gaming chairs, and I kind of agree with him. Like my Battle Bull chair, it's nice, it's comfy. But like I've sat in better chairs as well, but I also didn't go and spend like $1,000 on a chair. Like I wasn't spending that much, but it does get interesting and like we're talking about keyboards and mice and like the preference for mechanical keyboards over don't know what they call electric keyboards. I guess I don't know. It's like sorry, I just had the sudden urge to call mechanical keyboards acoustic keyboards for some reason. I don't know why, but it sounded like a good idea. But even stuff like gaming mice and esports mice, and I think we were talking about it before the show, and I think you had a really good point about it's just really what you like and what's comfortable. And you can have all the buttons on in the world, you can make all the macros that you want, but if it's not comfortable in your hands or comfortable to sit in, then what's the point?
Yeah. Or it can be the flashiest mouse or keyboard or chair, and if it's not comfortable, you can't use it. That's it.
RGB lights everywhere, but it's shit.
We love it. You know, that's the easiest way to identify a gamer with some cred, how much RGB they've got going on.
I have one thing of RGB, and it's like a flashing symbol on the back of my mouse, and basically it goes from green to yellow to red depending on how low the battery is. That's the only bit of RGB I've got.
I do need to say, like, my keyboard's got the backlit.
I do like the backlit stuff.
Yeah.
I like that they stand out, like make the key stand out a bit more. Because I'm generally I'm a mushroom. I stay in the dark and get fed on bullshit a lot of time. But I do like sitting in the dark, and sometimes it's hard to see the keys. So having backlit keys would be nice. Which my $10 keyboard doesn't have that. Because that's another thing. Like people swear by mechanical keyboards, and it's about the feel and about the. I think there was something there about how maybe they transmit the signals quicker as well in the reading that I was doing. But, the reaction times I'm talking about here, the fastness of different between an electric pad under your keyboard to the mechanical keys isn't going to make any difference to me.
Yeah, I mean, we're both, casual gamers. I'm using our bunny ears. But I do think it's really risky for new gamers moving into the space. If they look at something and it says, esports or gaming on it, there's a risk that they're gonna get taken advantage of if it looks flashy. But then, they put it in their hand and they go, oh, this isn't right, or the tracking is slow on the mouse, or they click the mouse and it's just the depression is deeper than what feels comfortable to them. There's so many things like that makes it risky for people who are just blindly investing in multiple $100 pieces of tech.
And that marketing works for people, because if you like, I know kids out there go, oh, it says it's gaming, so it must be good, and go, well, not particularly. Like Coles and Woolies have their bargain bins there, and you can go buy a $30 gaming keyboard and mouse setup, and it's
I was joking in the Discord because my mouse kept getting stolen at work, and this was like the official work supplied mouse, so a $20 or $30 Microsoft one or whatever they've got in the cupboard. And over the last 6 months, I've lost 3 mice. They've just been wandering off. So I went and bought a $25 Officeworks gaming Typhoon gaming mouse that's all RGB. Nobody's touched it. It's fabulous.
That's because they'll actually know where it's gone now, because it's not the same as all the other mice. Like
just turn the lights off. I'll be able to track down where it is based on the lights that are being broadcast from it.
But like, if you can try a mouse or keyboard, I think that's the key thing. And it's like, I like places that display things. You can put your hand on it and work it out. Because like for me, I like sitting with the mouse right in the palm of my hand. But because of how long my fingers are as well, like if I do that, my fingers hang over the edge of mice. So, and they just don't make mice big enough for me to be able to do that. So I'm constantly having my fingertips on the edge of the mice buttons with my palm off the mouse, which is not like I can do it, but I would be more comfortable if I could just like rest my palm on the mouse itself. But
well, I find it really interesting that there's 3 or 4 like established grips for mice. 99% of people in the population will use one of these 3 or 4 style of grips. And if you really are starting to get into the higher end of gaming mouse, they'll actually say what grips the mouse is suited for, which I think is really like good information for them to be able to provide, because a lot of the numbers that they throw out don't mean a lot.
Exactly. It's if you don't understand the numbers, you just assume that higher numbers are better, but maybe you don't know, and if you don't know, you don't know. So I think the overriding factor of anything is, for you, is it comfortable?
Yes.
And I think that's what we need to look at. So don't be fooled by gaming this and esport that. Just try it out and make sure that it works for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the real benefit of getting to go to conventions and things like that. Because I remember at your old JP Hi-Fi, you used to be able to go in there and they'd have all the stuff out on display and you could pick it up and play with it. And I think post-COVID, that just doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I also think that a lot of those sort of peripheral type stuff don't move as well, so they just don't have that stock in anymore. So they'll only have like a handful of things. Every now and then you'll see places like EB Games will have like a keyboard out that you can tap the numbers on, or the box will have a little bit where you can tap the thumb keys to work out what they're like. But yeah, I think it's just it's just a harder market to sell those things in, so people generally don't. And for 99% of people, your standard keyboard and mouse that comes with your OEM computer is just fine. Like I've got a $10 keyboard here that I'm still using, and it works fine for me. So I've got a wireless Logitech keyboard and mouse that I've had for the last 10 years, and that still works for me. So I've got, so for those that think I've got 2 computers connected to the 2 keyboards connected to the one computer. I don't. I have 2 computers in here, so I'm weird, just in a different way. Okay. But I think that's coming to the end of the show there. Well, thank you everybody for watching, and don't forget, please drop us a like on whatever platform you're listening to. If you like watching us live in inverted commas, we're on twitch.tv/GameOnOz every Thursday night. So come and watch us there. Jump into the discord.gameonoz.com. Follow us on social media everywhere, Game on Oz, and yeah, we'll love seeing you around, love seeing the chats that you have, and we'll catch everybody next week.